Why? Yes, we're doing Ben Coward today. Poonday Dream, boys. Poonday Dream. Now, if you thought Ben Howard's last album was delicate, nah, mate, wait until you fucking hear this, boys. It's the fucking bloody definition of elusive and mild, yet curiously pioneers a new kind of a sound both for himself and the genre moreover. Crucially, this album feels richer than its predecessor, more imbued with bloody summer airs and yet still minimized to the most threadbare version of itself, no more so than his voice. Shut the fuck up, Donnie. Fucking what the fuck, mate? I'm just sitting here with some tea. Shut the fuck up. Thank you. Alright. You too, Lamp. You've got a fucking license to shut the fuck up. Instrumentally, it is threaded like silk and yet shifts like sands with these melodic, bright guitar leads dovetailing on almost every track, providing the bulk of the harmonies as Howard almost never breaks from his hushed English delivery. Every song is meditative in its own right, this kind of hypnagogic, shoegazy sweltering that lends credence to Howard's intelligence and perfectionism in composition. Take the scattering of textures on a boat to an island on the wall and how those crunchy guitar leads unwind with feedback whirling and a drum beat that remains like constant and riveting in metaphorical waves rising and falling. The percussive work here does feel more involved here than on his last, with tracks like Something in the Doorway providing a rhythmic backbone that the song could effortlessly build from. But I do love the swelling progression and his vocal presence on this track, one of the few times where Howard becomes convincing in of himself. This song also features a hint of a bloody saxophone, which makes me realize how much more engaging and impactful this album would be if there were more examples of this kind to choose from, because that instrument in of itself can elevate this track in a styling more than a fucking plodding guitar could ever. And see, here's the thing, it's just underwhelming how much it is underused here. So much potential is therefore lost in creating visceral climaxes, and I know that's the point of a Noonday Dream, which is obviously what he's going for, but I can say for certain that I'd prefer a Noonday Wet Dream. Alright, but seriously, get some fucking tambourines up in this bitch. Fucking blush up some organs, let a clarion splurge about a bit, you know, because I crave energy listening to this, and it does just get lost in its own hypnagogic rendering too often for my liking. There is something reminiscent of Sun Kil Moon in the strummed guitar on a track like Nika Libra's At Dusk, but more so in Ben Howard's ephemeral and loosely bound stream of consciousness on this record, say on a song like What the Moon Does in particular, and how he lists off mundane hobbies in the most gratifying way possible. I feel like he just wrote the lyrics offhand in fucking Cornish bakeries and cafes with beaches in mind, only to condense his thoughts into songs where the instrumentation could complement his lines barely sung. Honestly, sometimes this does just make me wish I was listening to Bob Dylan instead, for the difference in energy and charisma in turning a line where here he can just sound sort of like listless mumbling. He's obviously self-aware of this, and how the bloody closer over here is rather emphatically named Murmurations. Back. A song which really does its label justice, with the only sense of drive coming from the drums, which are slotted in at the midpoint, single-handedly bringing this track to life where it would otherwise peter out. Of course, this isn't the only song that is strengthened by the drum work. I mean, pretty much all of them are, obviously, but none more so than the bloody Defeat over here, a fucking grouse track, mate, with a fucking didgeridoo, boys, and even the synth work here is textured somewhat like Kid A, reinforcing that slight yet ever-present Radiohead influence tucked away here and there. But yeah, this is fucking Viscera City, boys. I do love the thickness here, I love the bass, I love the electronic embellishments, and the layering. It's all just delicious and spellbinding in all the ways the rest of the album wishes it could be. I suppose in a lot of ways you could even compare the watery delayed soundscapes here to that of A Moon-Shaped Pool, and that's probably no coincidence. But in any case, he doesn't mirror Thom Yorke nearly enough to to merit the fucking comparisons. Speaking of influences, I think there is a genuine lending of Animal Collector's Banshee beat guitar work on A Boat to the Island Part 2 and also Murmurations briefly. And I'm talking about that echo delayed wet sort of guitar work, mate. It is very similar. What the Moon does also features guitar work, which is a highlight. Being so delayed, it almost feels like it's being reverberated under a featureless ocean. And look, I've shit-talked this album quite a bit up to this point. That's just who I am, and most specifically the minimalism in both instrumentation and vocalizing, but honestly, I do wholeheartedly enjoy this album for its layering and sultry, undercutting presence. This kind of a sound could have backfired horrifically, but Ben here succeeds with it in a way that just wins people over like me. I mean, it's really commendable. I am honestly nothing but impressed and taken aback about how gorgeous and vibrant this sounds, all things considered, and I feel like if you applied some of my criticisms, it would lose some of that sleepy luster which so separates it from other albums and otherwise makes it a borderless husk. So I do feel that he reached somewhat of the golden mean here despite the lack of harmonies in his vocals, because even with his weird mumble folk delivery, there are still infectious nooks hidden away on every track that rewards the listener to keep on coming back and putting effort into the record. This was definitely made with an ideal in mind, with a rare kind of perfectionism and quality control that most artists simply don't have. It is maybe 1 or 2 songs too long though, only for just how much of a plateau of sedation it is rather than the actual quality itself dipping. Because this is a plateau of goodness and it is highly deserving of praise and attention. So yeah, it's not even my kind of an album generally speaking, and I think quite a few moments here beg for more viscera, but other than that, it's pretty fucking gorgeous. It really is. So yeah, if you're actually looking for indie folk that actually sounds good and has some nice drum work scattered around here and some really good melodic bright leads, I recommend giving this a sus. Also, the lyricism is really lovely in its own way. I didn't give that enough attention, but I do love some of the lyrics on here, and more specifically the feeling imbued, especially that sort of sleepy sort of way he has in turning those lines. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, 4 boys. It's a 4 out of 5. Fucking 4 out of 5. So, that's simple. Hope you enjoyed my album review. I appreciate new subscribers, likes, not burps, but do appreciate pistachios and comments and feedback and all that good shit. And fucking, yeah, just don't eat soup while you're doing album reviews. You burp every fucking 5 seconds, mate. But yeah, I'll catch you later, you fucking gooses. Just have a good one. Ooh.